Well, after that grueling business last week, are we ready to just get back to a good old-fashioned dinosaur repaint? Today, we're going to repaint the Hammond Collection Troodon. I kind of already repainted one of these during my 3-minute review. Out of the box, I think these things look like a little gremlin, and I leaned into it on that repaint. Whether my review was negative or positive really kind of depends on how you look at it. As a dinosaur figure, I kind of felt like it was dog, but as a creepy horror figure, I love it. But with this repaint, I'm actually going to give it another chance as just a dinosaur figure, and not a horrible little monster. And that means that no, we're not going to paint it like in Jurassic Park the game. We're going to go with a friendly Troodon from Jurassic World Live Tour, which I have not seen. Now, this repaint video is one of those 2-for-1s, because I'm actually going to be painting 2 Troodons. One of them will be leaving completely intact. The other one, I'm going to do everything I can to make it look as much like the Troodon from Jurassic World Live Tour as I can. And the first step with that is going to be removing the quills. To remove the quills, we're first going to heat them up to make them pliable. Once those quills are nice and soft, we're going to peel them up. And they're a little tricky to get a hold of, so I'm just going to use some needle nose pliers for that. After peeling up the quills from the back, we can see that they're held in place by having the structural support of the Troodon going through them. That gives us 2 options. Try to disassemble the Troodon completely and pull it in half, or just make a small incision on the bottom of the rubber quill piece. That seems a lot less invasive to me, and if I ever happen to change my mind about the quills, I could always just glue them back in place. Well, that wasn't too bad. The Troodon also has some quills on the back of its head, and I briefly thought about retaining those, but nah. I'm actually going to commit to the design. Now we could cut those quills off without heating the head up, but if I do heat it up, then it'll cut much more easily, and that'll reduce the chances that the knife slips and I cut myself again. Once the plastic softens, we can go ahead and carefully, using a sharp blade, cut off the Troodon's mohawk. Now, if we just slice it off, we'll be left with a weird smooth spot on the back of the head. So I'm going to actually slice it at a downward angle. Slicing on both sides of the mohawk at a downward angle is going to leave a channel on the back of the head as opposed to a weird smooth spot. Another one of those places where the Jurassic World Live Troodon's design deviates from the Hammond Collection is it doesn't have a sickle claw on its feet. So I'm going to replace those. The feet that I'm putting on it are just scaled down baryonyx replacement feet. These are pretty versatile theropod feet. Alright, now that this Troodon has some new sneakers, we are one step closer. But he does have a channel on the back of his head and a gaping hole on his back, so we should probably do something about that. Like milliput. Milliput's something we can do. If you're not familiar with milliput at this point, familiarize yourself with it. Need to patch up a gaping hole on the back of your dinosaur? Milliput's got you covered. To save material, I'm going to stuff a bunch of paper towel into the back of this Troodon, and we'll just pack the milliput on top of that. Once the cavity in the back and the trench on the back of the head have been filled with milliput, I'll just use a little bit of water on my fingers to smooth that milliput out, and help blend it into the rest of the model. Now, to help match the texture of the milliput to the rest of the dinosaur, we're going to use one of the many pre-existing stamps that I made ages ago. You can actually buy texture stamps, but I'm a cheap bastard, so I just made mine. Okay, well, now that this Troodon has a yellow patch on the back of its head, a yellow patch on its back, and bright white feet, he looks ridiculous. Hopefully paint will improve it. The Jurassic World Troodon's base color is a light yellowy green. I think palm leaf will be pretty close to that, so that's what we're going to use to base coat these dinosaurs. I'm also going ahead and painting over the glass eyes on these. These Troodons should have bright green eyes, not cataracts. This green might be too vibrant. I think we're going to adjust it. Okay, I've added some warm buff to that palm leaf green, and that's toned it down quite a bit. I think we're back on track. Let's just get these little f***ings coated, and I'll catch you guys in the next step. We should probably paint the tails too. Now that we've got that base coating done, I think it's time for a wash. This wash is a mixture of Kelly Green and English Ivy. It's going to serve a dual purpose of highlighting a lot of the sculpted detail on this dinosaur, as well as just brightening up this Troodon's pale green. It will also highlight any inconsistencies of the texture on our quillless Troodon as well, so hopefully I didn't screw up on the texture matching. Be sure to wash both sides of the dinosaur. Oh yeah, I forgot to record it or mention it, but I replaced that Troodon's arms too. As is customary after applying a wash and to keep Shrek at bay, we're going to apply a dry brush to this Troodon. Well, the other one too. And that dry brushing will be done in a pale green. This is going to help to highlight all of the raised sculpted detail and also lighten up the overall green color of the Troodon. And since we're painting two Troodons today, we need to do this dry brushing on both of them. Once the Shrek deterrent dry brushing is completed, we can move on to patternings. The patterns on the Jurassic World Live Tour Troodon are a series of simple dark green stripes, but they're outlined with a white or off-white border. The easiest way to do this is going to be to lay down those white stripes first. We're going to use Warm Buff for this, and we'll just mark out the spacing of those stripes. Once the spacing on the stripes is all marked out, we'll just drag those stripes from the dorsal to the ventral. And because we do not want a lopsided dinosaur, we're going to do this to both sides of the Troodon. With as green and stripy as this guy is, I was sorely tempted just to make a giant Compsognathus. But you know what, I think I've painted enough Compsognathus for now. So we'll just carry on with the Troodon plan. Once the first Troodon is done, it's time to stripe up the second one. And surprise, surprise, same deal as before. We're just going to mark out the spacing, and then we'll just drag those stripes downwards. And since we don't want this one to be a lopsided dinosaur either, we're going to do it on both sides. And just in case you were wondering, yes, we will also paint the tails. Once all of the white markings are done, it's time to go in with that very, very dark green, which is a combination of black and English Ivy green. And this is the part where it's important to be able to color inside of the lines. Using a sharpened toothpick, we're going to go ahead and start applying those stripes, being careful not to cross the white border into the green. This is similar to how I do the markings on Dilophosaurus, only this is more Troodon-y. Don't forget to do both sides. Now is not the time to make an offering to the dark gods of asymmetry. Once we finish up the hedgehog, it's time to do the same thing on Baldy. Just color inside the lines. This is kindergarten shit. You got this. As per usual, don't forget to paint both sides of your dinosaur. Okay, at this point it is starting to look like a Jurassic World Live Tour Troodon. But we're not done yet. Since Hans the Hedgehog still has his quills, we better go ahead and paint those. Black's a great base color for quills, so that's what we're going to use. All done with the quills. But since we're using that shiny black paint, I think we may as well go ahead and paint some claws too while we're at it. And that's how you give a Troodon a mani-pedi. But lest the porcupine get jealous, we'll give her the same treatment. A manicured dinosaur is a happy dinosaur. In addition to taking care of your nails, dental hygiene is also important. So we'll brush this Troodon's teeth. Paintbrush, but a brush nonetheless. Not that I recommend using a paintbrush on your own teeth, mind you. These Troodons came with cloudy zombie eyes. Great for horrifying monsters, not so great for dinosaurs. So we're gonna paint over those with some color shift green. It's green and shifty, not swifty. The Troodon's eyes are a bit recessed, so we've got to really get in there with that paint, and try not to slop it around the eyelid. And in an unsurprising turn of events, we're going to do the same thing to the other Troodon as well. Yay, eyeballs! Now, I did say that I was going to do everything I could to make this Troodon as accurate to the Jurassic World Live Tour Troodon as I could. Well, there's an interesting detail about that Troodon if you look closely at it. It has a second set of slender black humanoid legs. And it just so happens I have a set of slender humanoid black legs to put on it. Let me just separate those from the torso real quick. Now before I put those legs on, I'm going to go ahead and paint some Troodon pupils real fast. They are slit pupils, as many Jurassic Park and World dinosaurs are, and we'll be painting them with a gloss black, as I usually do. Once the eyeballs are done, these figures are pretty much done. Well, except for those legs. I've cut these things down a little bit more and added a peg. To correspond to that peg, I've drilled a small hole in the bottom of my Troodon, and there we go. One Jurassic World Live Tour Troodon, complete with human legs. And one without human legs, with quills. So, something glamour shots? Welcome to Jurassic World Live Tour. Oh no, Jennie the Troodon has escaped. Watch out, it's Blue the Velociraptor. They're communicating. Run for your lives, Tyrannosaurus Rex. Meanwhile, Hans the Hedgehog over here laying eggs in dead guys' stomachs. Well, that was the video. See you guys next week.